Presenting StepSense, a self-powered sensory neuroprosthesis with pneumatic actuators. My name is Bianca Campos, and I'm here with Mollie Schoeppner. We're undergrads at Virginia Tech studying biomedical engineering. 20 million. This is the amount of Americans diagnosed with peripheral neuropathy. Of that 20 million people, 70 to 80% of patients' peripheral neuropathy is caused by type 1 or type 2 diabetes. Diabetic patients with peripheral neuropathy are 15 times more likely to suffer fall-related injuries. This is the leading cause of injury and even death among older adults. StepSense hopes to offer a new cost-effective approach for replacing lost nerve sensation in the feet with the potential to improve balance and prevent falls. As we know, the balance system is comprised of three major components: 10% visual, 20% vestibular, and 70% somatosensory. With that said, patients with peripheral neuropathy have damage to the mechanoreceptors in their feet, which in turn cannot communicate pressure information to the brain. In the earliest stages of peripheral neuropathy, mechanoreceptors above the ankle remain intact. With this said, studies show that through mechanotactile conditioning, the gait of those with peripheral neuropathy can be improved. This is also showcased through some products on the market, specifically the Walkisons, a lower limb sensory prosthesis that uses mechanotactile vibrations. But some of the drawbacks of this device that the long-term effects of persistent skin vibration are unknown to us. And with the high price point and only being obtainable through prescription puts this device out of a lot of patients' accessibility. We decided to come up with a more cost-effective solution. First, we started with gathering user needs such as longevity, comfort, human-powered, and usability. With these design considerations in mind, we designed a device comprised of two input bladders and two output bladders connected using polyurethane tubing. The way this device works is by utilizing the patient's natural gait cycle. As the patient applies load to the input bladders in the foot sole with a heel strike, this then deflates the bladder, sending the air upward to the output bladders. The output bladders then stimulate the mechanotactile receptors in the skin, sending communications to the brain. With that said, there are many design iterations leading us up to the one that was used for testing.
After the final iteration was chosen, we moved into the testing phase. These were the models that we decided to test. We wanted to compare both TPU tubing to polyurethane tubing, as well as the block design bladder to the smile design. Our testing setup consisted of an Instron machine that simulated the pressure of walking on the input bladder. The output bladder was strapped to a fake leg along with a pressure sensor. As the Instron compressed the input bladder, the output bladder expands. From the data we recorded, we were able to calculate both the average maximum force and the average fall time for each of our models. For the force generated by the output bladder, we want this to be the highest possible. So from our test, we concluded that the polyurethane tubing yielded the highest output force. For the average fall time, we want this number to be as small as possible. From our test, we concluded that the polyurethane tubing yields the quickest fall time. In the future, we hope to reduce this to about a half a second, which is the time that a normal person spends in the swing phase of a walking cycle. The StepSense will be intended for the detection and signaling of foot pressure sensation. The use environment will require that this device will hold up to repeated loading from walking, as well as heat and moisture that could generate throughout the day. Similar to the Walkison, we expect that this device will be a Class 1 or Class 2 medical device. For our bill of materials, we estimate that one unit of this device will cost about $10. We expect to leverage an existing reimbursement codes or those being established by the Walkisons. In terms of the market, 1.5 million new diabetes cases are diagnosed each year in the United States. 50% of these patients will develop peripheral neuropathy, and 25% of those patients will be a candidate for our device. At $80 per patient, that results in a serviceable addressable market of 15 million and a serviceable obtainable market of 1.5 million, assuming a 10% market share. For future work, we hope to first start with human safety testing. From here, we will move on to peripheral neuropathy patient testing. We would also like to experiment with alternate fluids, as well as making sure this device is durable, as well as customizable for all. Here are the references for our presentation. Thank you for your time. We are excited to present our work at the DMD conference and continue to develop the StepSense to help patients with peripheral neuropathy.